open it up for questions. I need to understand I don't have all the answers for this at all. I have some good ideas, I think, and I think at this point in time I'm comfortable enough to share it. If there are people that are interested in making this a reality, this is what I'm doing this for. Let's do this together. I am a philosopher, musician, and analyst. My name is André Davis. I've had an idea in my heart for decades that I have kept to myself. Now, I want to share that idea with you. It's no mystery that as humans, we thrive when cooperation is at the forefront of our efforts. We feel a primal joy. In cooperation, we have evidence that we are not alone in this world. Then, why do we recognize and contribute to cooperative community resources so infrequently? Why doesn't this positivity and enthusiasm for positive social engagement remain a priority? Let's answer those questions together. What will it take to empower our communities? Let's learn what it is to All right. Hi. Welcome to the show, which I guess is a show, yeah. But $1 Million Fist is really an idea that I've had for a little while, and I need to figure out a way to share that idea. And this is an approach that I thought, why not? I'm learning some new skills in the process, so yeah, we'll go from here. So, what $1 Million Fist is an idea to build community, really to empower people within the community that they live in. And so if we think about it at the simplest level, I've been able to kind of wrap it around is looking at it kind of like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and addressing the basic needs of people in the community. Because if those basic needs are met, then that gives people the ability to look at higher needs. And when people aren't having their basic needs met, that's when a lot of people get desperate and bad things happen. So $1 Million Fist is really a way to organize and systemize a community so that everybody is able to benefit from each other's efforts within the community. So the thought kind of came out of, let's see, is this clipped on? Yeah. So the thought came out of, or something that kind of came about as I was thinking about it and putting it together, is that there we go. I decided I don't like a mic stand. I would prefer to walk with this in my huge amount of space. Okay. So so I see a lot of charities, a lot of crowdsourcing efforts. So if let's say in the community, um, uh, well, let's go back to COVID. Very reasonable. There's COVID happened. A lot of communities were affected, and communities were affected in different ways. Um, what happens as the government takes on their role in the sense, or takes on a role in trying to support everybody, but because on the national level, the government is kind of just giving a blanket support, but a lot of resources are wasted in that sense, because not every community needs the same thing. Um, and I think that happens on the state level as well. Uh, and it may happen on a municipal level depending on the area itself, but it certainly has the potential to happen. And that's just because we're not looking at the uniqueness of a community, and addressing that. We're looking at a problem and trying to solve it. So the money that were given for COVID relief, for example, the the dollar amounts that went out to everybody, but not everybody needed those. Like, I know lots of people who questioned getting them, and tried to find ways that they could best use their money, because um, it wasn't really it wasn't something they needed, but they certainly knew that other people needed it more than. Um, so, in being able to have a community be able to build that sort of resource that they don't have to reach out, they can build and allocate specifically to what they need and immediately, as opposed to waiting for relief from others. Um, so, I mean, I guess that's a broad. This is a broad example of its use, but really, it doesn't even have to be for big global disasters or pandemics. We don't need to have another COVID for this to be useful. I mean, if we look at the GoFundMe pages, for example, so there are people who are willing to reach out and help, and they put all these pages out, and they'll reach out to people all over. But I know that there are people in my community that, I'll find out about things happening after the fact, or a GoFundMe page was set up after the fact, and I probably would have given. I'm not one who typically will give to those types of things for strangers, but I probably would have given to those types of things where somebody, and I have given to within my own community. I may not have known the person personally, but through a friend of a friend, maybe I knew them, and I was more than willing to help out, and I think that was beneficial. But that wasn't really there's times when it's not very well advertised, and that's just because we don't think of community in that way anymore. I don't think. I think we've really leaned on the global community aspect. So I think that what we need to do is appreciate the benefit and the power that lies in global interactions, but we need to bring it back to and refocus on what's right in front of us. What happens in India or Japan or Europe doesn't affect, or it doesn't necessarily affect us here, and we don't need to react the same way. And that goes for even what happens in the next state over, or maybe even the next town over. But there's a lot of things that are very unique to a specific area, and if efforts are made in that specific area, more reasonable results and more effective results can come out of that. So to a broad scope, broad idea about it. So as far as like the structure of it, originally when I was thinking about putting it together, I thought there would be a good way to do it would be to operate it just as a business, as a corporation, as opposed to a nonprofit. I think there's plenty of nonprofits out there. I think there tends to be a somewhat stigma, not a stigma. I think business is aren't necessarily looked upon as by default um, community centered or people centered for the most part. By default, they're not, and that's why businesses put a lot of money into community efforts. We're allowing employees to take time for community payback and stuff. They'll invest in ways that they can, but ultimately, they're it's not in the limelight or whatever. Like a company within a community that shows a lot of community support is rare, or more rare than a company that doesn't do anything for the community, except for like set up shop there. So that's why I wanted to create it as a corporation, just as a way to. We live in a capitalist society. The United States is a capitalist society, so why not just do all the work that we want to do in that capitalist mindset, whatever. Which I suppose nonprofit organizations would, in a way, follow under that too, just in the sense of making money. I mean, it's nonprofit organization doesn't mean that people don't make money off of it. And money is just a resource to survive anyway. So I don't know why I threw that in there, but so yeah, that's what the whole idea of it is. So let's say this is all set up. How does this work? Let's get a solid example. So an idea, what if there was a community kitchen in the community? So I live in Westbrook, Maine. Excuse me. I live in Westbrook, Maine, and there was a restaurant that was for sale for a long, long time, and it was an old chain restaurant, and it was during COVID or just after COVID, but it had been closed for a long time. Not uncommon, but during the whole time that it had been closed, it was around that time that I started thinking about community kitchens and looking up to see, what a community kitchen was, where they are, what they do. And I thought to myself, what if we had a community kitchen that was just like a restaurant? Like you have tables set up as a restaurant does, and you have food and servers and all of that stuff. Why does it have to be like when I talk about a community kitchen, when I bring it up to people, everybody, because they think of free food and bringing people in, they think of like a soup kitchen or a church Sunday, just some folding tables out and stuff. And it doesn't have to be like that. If we've got the infrastructure up, or if we even wanted to build it, we could certainly make it nice, make it as a restaurant, and provide space for community interaction within there. So maybe you make some larger tables and whatever you want to do. But on top of that, so you've got your structure. You can use your building, put it up however you want. And what it would be a resource for anybody in the community to come through, have a meal. Maybe you do a pay what you want system, however you want to manage that, or however it makes sense. And then you have people who cook and who clean and who serve. Use that as a training program for the restaurants in the area. If you've got Westbrook has several restaurants, and if they wanted to know that they've got some good hirees or good staff or available staff, do some sort of program within the community where people can learn how to cook, learn how to serve, learn how to do all of that stuff, learn the restaurant business through through your community restaurant. And then anything else you build up that way, use those as training opportunities, because that's another part of it. So there's a food part of it. So let's say we set up some community restaurants that serve food, cook food. Kitchens are always open. That gives you a little bit of shelter in cold weather at nights. Gives you a community meeting space. I don't know. You can really grow with it. In Westbrook, we've got the community center. Maybe we open up the cafeteria and make that a little bit nicer for that kind of thing, to support community meals. And then so yeah, food, shelter, and then also like when you cook the food, you're cooking all your meals. You can package up your meals and then deliver those to other people in the community. Maybe you have like a delivery program, kind of like DoorDash or whatever, that to the people in the community for free. We will fund it through our funding ways, which would be through business or I don't know, whatever, however it's funded. This is the model though. I'll get to that. I'll organize that a little bit. I've got things written down, and I should probably post those, make them available, go through them. I think they all make sense. Like when I put it all together, at first, it all makes sense to me. So, but again, this is just me sharing my idea at this point. I'm trying to. I get excited about this when I talk about it. So, and it's been in my head for many, many years now. So I'm tripping over myself as I talk. So this is part of the reason for this. It's getting it out there in an understandable way, opening it up for questions. I need to understand I don't have all the answers for this at all. I have some good ideas, I think. And I think at this point in time, I'm comfortable enough to share it, and get some feedback on it, and get some help in putting it up. If there are people that are interested in making this a reality, this is what I'm doing this for. I'm looking for you, so help me out. Let's do this together. So you got the shelter. Or you get the food, the shelter, and then your training program. So, like I said, with the so if you've got your restaurant set up to train your staff, you've got people trained to serve food, food handling, cooking, and then you can have classes there as well. So use the kitchen to do classes. Don't just do on the job training type thing. Make it a very educational thing. And then you can do that for office jobs as well, data jobs, administration, whatever things that are relevant to the community's industries. We have a lot of office buildings. There's probably all kinds of admin positions, and there are probably all kinds of people who are not trained well in those admin positions. So why not send, businesses within the community, send them in, have free training, and be able to do that. And then we can have classes, set up classes, and for other people to come through outside of the community, and maybe they pay money. That was part of my thought process a while ago. How do you make this so that your community can take on the resources, or are able to use the resources free of charge, and then be able to charge people outside of the community. But again, that's more in the logistics that are yet to come. But I think just starting with really the restaurant thing is the the big thing. I think starting with that it feels like it's a simple enough task to um, to understand and to set up. And then also, I mean, because with the food, that covers a lot of things. That you've got your homeless population, you've got maybe just community events, community groups and stuff that want to meet and over a meal someplace. Well, have it over at the community kitchen, and people who want to learn how to cook or anything like that. I think it's something good. It would be a benefit to any community, I think. But anyway, so this was this was that. I'm gonna. I put this out, so I may as well keep going with it. This is my first step. Well, not really my first step, but it's my first step in this arena now, I guess, what I'm saying. So anyway, comment and or reach out to me. You can check out my website, andremauricedavis.com, and that has the $1 Million Fist. That's where I'm going to start housing all of the information there, and keep records of this show as I go. So if you want to keep up with it, subscribe to the other podcast channel, this channel here. I'll keep this playlist for this going, and and yeah, check out the website, andremauricedavis.com. All right. Bye. Thanks.